Hello guys, my name is Lotana. Growing up, it was just me and my younger brother against the world. We lived in the ghetto. Life wasn't fair to us, but we made sure to survive each day. With our tiny hands, we used to search for food others threw away, just so we could have something in our stomachs. My brother, Namdi, was the only person who kept me going, and I knew one day everything would be better. I prayed for it. But life happened. Namdi and I were together on the street when we heard gunshots. Everywhere scattered as everyone ran for their lives. I did my best to hold on to my brother, but it didn't work out. I couldn't find him. Namdi, I screamed, but he was nowhere to be found. Where is Namdi? Where is my brother? It has been 20 years now, and I haven't seen him. This has been the worst trauma of my life, and my life has never been the same since. Guys, this is my story based on a true life event, so stay with me as I take you through it. I actually own a small restaurant. It's not very popular yet and we have few customers. However, I have some very loyal staff working with me. Mama B, Thelma, and Pamela. One particular day, no customer came to buy any food, and it was so sad and discouraging. Mama B tried to encourage me and called me boss. Please just call me Lotana. You are older than me, I said to her. My staff are really a blessing to my business. Otherwise, I believe I would have given up already. Later that day, Thelma was leaving, so I quickly thanked her for her selfless service and commitment to her work, and then bid her goodbye. The next day, I was glad it was different from other days. I was meeting with Thelma when some customers came in, and she quickly went to attend to them while I excused myself. Another beautiful day, I was in my restaurant looking through the window when I saw a car dropping off Thelma in front of the restaurant. I was watching them and saw how close they were. I just smiled as she walked in. Immediately as she entered, she began apologizing and explaining to me that she was at the hospital. It's okay, I cut her off. I mean, you have to be healthy because your health matters to me. She was surprised at what I said. Oh, sorry, I meant your health matters to me as your boss. You have to be healthy and strong before you can serve your customers, I clarified, and she smiled. Who is he? I asked. Who? She replied. The car that always drops you off at work for the last 2 months, I said. Oh yes, sir, Luis is just a friend. He is the best, she answered. Wow, and he has never ordered anything from us? She replied. Oh, he does, but he hasn't sat to eat at the restaurant? Sometimes he orders and asks me to bring it when I close, and we eat together. Wow, you guys must be really close, I said. She just smiled, excused herself to go change and get ready for work, so I allowed her. I was alone when Mama B came over and said, He's such a nice and gentle young man, isn't he? Grabbing a chair to sit down, I looked at her and asked, And what is gentle about him? Do you know him? She replied, No, unlike me who just wants to gossip and ask nosy questions. You caught me there. So what do you know about him? I asked. She said if I wanted any information, I should give her Friday off because she would be going to her son's PTA meeting. Really? You of all people know how Fridays are for us. We have orders piled up. It will be very busy for me, I told her. She pleaded to work a half day before she could tell me what she knew about Louis. This is bribery, you know? I said. I accepted because I wanted to know about him as well. Then she started talking. Well, his name is Luis. He's such a sweet gentleman, he's hot, and from what I observed, he's really into Thelma, more like her understanding boyfriend. Okay, so is that all? I asked. She said yes. I don't understand. This is all you have to share, and you are asking for a bribe? Mama B, just get back to work, please. You never cease to amaze me. Guys, I think I'm beginning to feel interested in Thelma. I haven't understood the feeling yet, but I really want to find out. So I arranged a little dinner date for us at the restaurant. She was surprised and asked what it was for. Thelma, I'm actually doing this for us, I said, getting a chair for her to sit down. So as I was saying, I wanted to do something simple and nice to show appreciation for your support and help with the business. I noticed she got lost a little, so I called her back and asked if she didn't like the idea. She replied she did, but was surprised. Joyfully surprised, she added. I smiled, and we made a toast with our glasses of wine. Later, she kept insisting I be honest with her and tell her why I did all of this. I smiled, sipped my wine before answering her. To be honest with you, Thelma, I just wanted to have a nice meal with you and chat. I hope that is not a problem? She answered that she was cool with that. I decided to tell her a little about me. Let me tell you a short story about me. I lost my parents at the age of 13. I got adopted at the age of 10, and 3 years later, they died in a car accident. Before I met my foster parents, life was not fair to me. It was really cruel until one day they showed up. I was so happy, I was really excited. I thought God had finally remembered me after all I'd been through on the streets. And then they died, just like my biological parents. Every special person in my life just leaves, one way or another. It seems like nothing good lasts in my life. I was so emotional talking about my life, and Thelma sympathized with me, making me more emotional. The following day, I decided not to wear my usual work clothes, so I dressed casually but still cool and sharp. I got to the office and, as usual, stood by the window looking at Thelma being dropped off by this Louis guy again. I didn't realize Mama B was behind me until I turned and saw her. Thelma entered and greeted me. I noticed she was surprised to see me in my casual look before going to change for work. Mama B is always on my neck. She cannot just mind her work and focus on it. Now she's saying I'm in my casual wear because I am competing with this Louis guy. Even though, I'm just amazed how you can be everywhere else aside from your duty post. Please go and fry some eggs or do something. I chased her away. Later that day at work, I came to meet Thelma in the main restaurant and asked if she had ever had Arabian tea. She said no, but had heard it's really nice. Yeah, it is, and I know a very good spot. Would you like to go after work? I asked, and she accepted. On her way out, I quickly told her not to inform Mama B about it, as she can be very nosy. She promised and left. Hours later, I was doing some calculations with Mama B when Thelma entered and said she was done for the day and asked if we could head out immediately. Then Luis entered, approaching Thelma. I didn't understand the guts this guy had. I stood up to confront him, but Mama B immediately stopped me to compose myself. I was just boiling inside. Then he told Thelma they had plans to go out today. Thelma came and immediately apologized, asking if we could reschedule our meeting to the next day. I didn't want to be a bad person, so I agreed and told her tomorrow would be fine. She thanked me, and they left. Guys, about my brother Namdi, honestly, I barely sleep at night because I always have nightmares about how we got separated. Like this particular night, I had the nightmare again. It was so clear and disturbing that I kept calling Namdi throughout until I woke up in shock. I was so terrified. The next day, I took Thelma on a dinner date outside our restaurant. She was surprised and excited as she asked, "Why didn't we just do this at the restaurant?" "No, Thelma, too many familiar eyes are already watching us, so I just wanted a change," I replied, and she smiled. She began asking some questions, and I just held her hand and said, "Go out with me." She was shocked, like she didn't hear me clearly. "I want you to be my girlfriend, Thelma," I said. Honestly, guys, you don't know how long it took me to let this out. Thelma lights up my day, and seeing her with that Louis guy all the time hurt my feelings, so I just had to do the needful. She was speechless. So I asked her to take her time and think about it as we continued our date. The following day at my restaurant, I came to do some calculations and saw Thelma and Louis sitting together and having a conversation. I just looked at them and went to sit down. Then I overheard Louis asking Thelma to be his girlfriend. What? I was boiling inside but maintained my composure, wanting to hear Thelma's response. She was laughing, asking if it was a joke. Louis wasn't joking, he meant it. Then Thelma told him they were just cool friends and it should remain that way. He got offended and began raising his voice, asking if I was the reason she rejected him. I acted like I didn't hear them and continued with what I was doing. Before I knew what was happening, he started dragging her hands so tightly that she was shouting for him to let go, but he was overclouded by his own anger and kept dragging her. So I stepped in, challenging him to let her go and leave my restaurant right away before I did something crazy. He was fearless and also challenged me until Thelma begged him to go, and he listened. "You are just lucky. I would have taught you a lesson," I said. Thelma began apologizing, but I just picked up my things and left her. Later that night in my bedroom, I couldn't sleep. I kept pondering on what happened earlier. What if Thelma accepted his proposal to be his girlfriend? What would become of me? I was just thinking. Immediately, I dialed Thelma's number, and she answered. "Why are you still awake? Have you been thinking about him? I asked. Who? She replied. Or have you been thinking about me? She was silent. I have been thinking about you also. I couldn't sleep. You haven't given me a reply yet about us. Please do not say no, please. I begged, and she replied, yes, she would be my girlfriend. Really? Like for real? Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for this. I am very excited, I expressed my excitement. So I guess I will see you tomorrow, right? She agreed, and we ended the call. Woo, I am so happy, guys. Thelma is finally mine now. Now I can sleep. The following day, I met with Thelma, and we were just smiling at each other. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? I said. She replied, it is. So I was thinking, can we go out today after work? I know a very good spot, I said. She was thrilled to go out with me. Also, I will be going to the market later today. I have a deal to conclude with a client. Can you please go with me? Immediately she replied, yes. I was so happy. All right, let me allow you to do your thing. I love you, I said as I walked away, making her blush. Later, we went to the market. I got to a particular spot and got stuck. All of a sudden, my nightmare started right there. I began to see my childhood memories display before me. I didn't know what I was doing. All I kept saying was, Namdi, 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 repeatedly. I was just there crying and calling my brother's name. Where is Namdi? Where is my brother? Thelma managed to take me home. I was so scared and quiet. She asked what happened earlier, and I just told her I want to be left alone. The following day at the restaurant, I went to meet Thelma, but she just greeted me casually and excused herself. Nosy Mama B then came to me and asked what was wrong with Thelma, as she had been lost in thought lately. I told her to get on with her job and to tell Thelma to meet me in my office immediately. Later, Thelma came to my office with a frown on her face. I knew she was angry from yesterday. Thelma, I know you have questions about what happened yesterday, and I am truly sorry for brushing you off. She poured out her pain, saying she felt like she didn't mean anything to me since I didn't talk to her about what was going on. She asked what role she should play, my girlfriend or my employee. Smiling, I said, I understand how you feel, Thelma, but the truth is I wasn't alone when I was adopted. I had a brother, and I lost him. She looked confused. I lost my younger brother in the market when there were gunshots everywhere, and we got separated. I was 10 and he was 8. It was my duty to protect him as his elder brother, and I failed. I apologize for everything. She was touched and apologized as well. Then she paused after hearing the name Namdi that I had kept calling. Is something wrong? I asked as she kept repeating the name like she had seen a ghost. Suddenly, she stood up and said, I think I have an idea of where your brother could be. I don't understand. What are you talking about? I asked, but she immediately ran out of my office. I was so confused that I had to pick up my shoes and follow her immediately. At the gate, I saw Thelma enter a building. I tried going in, but the security man stopped me. I kept asking him to let me in, but he refused until I asked him to call his boss. When he did, I was finally able to go in. I entered the living room and saw Thelma already talking to Louis. Could this be my brother? Namdi? Namdi! I called repeatedly, and he warned me never to call him that. I reached to hug him, but he pushed me away. Namdi, where have you been? I've searched everywhere for you. What happened? He seemed lost, but I was now more than convinced that he was my lost brother Namdi. Namdi Peter Ikazi, I called his full name. I brought out my phone and showed him a picture of us when we were little. He was so shocked and we hugged each other tightly, refusing to let go. I found Namdi, guys! Namdi is not dead. This is Namdi. I couldn't hold back my emotions. This was the best day of my life. Later, we got settled and began to share our experiences. Namdi, I searched for you everywhere for years and couldn't find you, so I gave up. I thought you were gone forever. I got adopted by a couple who didn't have kids, although not formally, I said, showing a picture of them on my phone. They saw me roaming the streets, crying day and night. They took me in and gave me shelter. Although they were poor, they showered me with love and care. But it seemed like the devil didn't want that happiness to last, because 3 years later they died in a car crash, and I was back on the streets. Honestly, surviving was extremely hard. Namdi then shared his story. He wandered the streets until he was sent to an orphanage, where his foster parents adopted him. Although they didn't have any children initially, he was all they had until they conceived a son. Their attention shifted to their new baby, but they still sent him to school, though he felt it was just for appearances. He admitted he was grateful to God because his half-brother Francis is a kind soul. He still sees Francis as his big brother and wants to share their father's will equally with him. Honestly, guys, life can be so mean sometimes, and you just can't do anything about it, I said. Why did you change your name? I asked. He admitted he still had trauma from his childhood, so to let go of his past, he had to change his name from Nnamdi to Luis. Brother, I'm just happy we're finally back together. No more letting go of each other ever again. We shook hands and continued our drinks. The following day, I called Thelma to my office because I wanted to discuss something very important with her. When she came, I said, "Thelma, I'm so grateful that you found my brother. I'm glad you brought us back together. Honestly, I don't know how you did it, but you really came through for us, and we will forever be grateful." She was also happy for us. Honestly, guys, I don't know how to say this. I don't even know if I'm about to do the right thing now or not. My brother must be happy before me, I thought to myself. Thelma, I am sorry. The thing is, I'm happy you found Nnamdi and that you guys were friends even before I met you. You took care of him for me. I could see she was already scared of what was coming next, but I had to do this. Thelma, please, I think we should take a break. She was shocked and asked, "Are you breaking up with me?" Thelma, this is really difficult for me, and you won't understand. My brother really likes you. She replied that she liked me instead. Was I just going to give up on her like that? Oh God. This was not an easy decision for me either. Thelma was heartbroken and disappointed as she walked out. The next day, I told Nnamdi about my decision, and he was upset and disappointed in me for doing such a thing. Bro, I see you really like Thelma. I have always put you first before me. I didn't realize you were my brother then. If I had, I wouldn't have approached Thelma to be my girlfriend. Besides, she has known you longer, so it would be wicked and selfish of me to just take her away from you. Nnamdi didn't support my decision. He said he would be angry with me if I ever hurt Thelma, regardless of being my brother. He persuaded me to put myself in order and go for my woman. It's fine. I will think about it, bro. For a fact, I really love Thelma, but you still come first in my life. He assured me that I shouldn't lose Thelma no matter what, so I nodded my head. The following day, I went to Nnamdi's house and met his half-brother, Francis. Nnamdi immediately introduced us, and we exchanged pleasantries. Indeed, Francis is a really nice guy with a big heart, and he is now family. We sat down together. Guys, honestly, I couldn't stay without Thelma being part of my life. I had to go for the woman I love before it was too late. I went to her house, and she had already packed her bags ready to leave. Thelma, I am so sorry. I know I had no right whatsoever to do what I did. I was just in a dilemma, but I know that doesn't make sense. She was so upset and didn't want to hear me out. I continued pleading for her forgiveness and confessed how I really love her and would never want to lose her again. She then asked about my brother, and I told her he had sworn to hurt me if I let her go. She smiled and made me promise that no matter what I was going through, I should always involve her in my life. I promised. She forgave me, and we are now back together, guys. I'm so relieved and fulfilled at the same time. We kissed. She told me she had already called home, so it wouldn't be nice if she canceled. She would be traveling but wouldn't stay long. I had no choice but to allow it, so I offered to drop her off at the airport. I don't have a car yet, so it was Nnamdi's car, I told her, and we laughed as we left. Days later, the four of us reunited in harmony and, most importantly, as family. We sat and ate together, having fun together. You see, blood will always be thicker than water. You can't separate a strong bond shared. I now have the greatest joy in me because I have found my blood, the only one that ever keeps me going in life. What did you learn from my story, guys? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for watching, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting and up-to-date Nigerian movie updates. See you next time.